I am so tired and I am so ready for bed, but I have got to make this video because, okay, my brain is being overloaded. I don't normally make videos when I'm having downloads, but I'm going to start doing it because I never fucking get around to actually deciphering the information. So here goes. I have been given very, very clear signs over and over again by the light beings that I work with that we are seriously on the precipice. Is that the right word? I'm gonna have to look that up. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to remake this fucking video. But we're at this crossroads right now. And it's, we talk about in the spiritual community, like moving into ascension, but there's so much more going on to it than just that. What they're showing me is that the dimensions, okay, so you've got, the first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension of time, and then you've got fifth dimension and up. Those dimensions are divided up within frequencies like a scale. So if you think about like a piano, you've got all the dimensions on the keyboard. And so you've got each note as a frequency. So what is happening is that, as we evolve, as humanity evolves, like you're not moving just from, like if we start in 3D at the beginning of, creation that we're conscious of, we're at the C note at the bottom end of the scale. And so as we're evolving, we're moving up the scale. And the reason, but you don't just go in one direction. They're being so clear with me. They're showing me there's two directions you can move into. So you can either choose, and they're asking us right now, you have got to make your choice and figure out, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? And what kind of frequency do you want to be existing in for the next eternity, is how they continue to put it to me. So lifetimes, not just this lifetime, but lifetimes after, because we've got this split of consciousness occurring. And this is why you see such polarity happening right now in the world, because you've got people moving into a sovereign state of being and self-empowered, and you've got people dramatically moving into the state of victimhood. And this split is happening. So if we're on the spiritual path, it's not like we're all going to 5D, is what they're showing me. They're showing me where we're going to go is going to be depending on our choices that we make and what action we take in alignment with our souls or not. So they continue to explain to me, your state of mind affects your reality. That's just the bottom line. So what are you connected to? Who are you connected to? What are you engaging your mind with? Is it helpful? Is it helping you heal? Or is it helping you to remain in denial, to remain in victimhood, to remain in sickness, illness, and dysfunction? So they have shown me, this is really hard for me to accept because it's a big look in the mirror. And sometimes that's hard to do. And, we talk about karma being a bitch. They told me, karma is you. So if you want to know what your karma is going to be in the next lifetimes, what are you focusing on now? What are you engaging yourself with? And this split is happening. They just continue to show me the earth separating, two earths going into two different directions, one going up a dimension and another one going down. And I don't really have I don't have anything to base this on. I've never heard of any of the concept of de-evolving to a lower dimension, but this is what they're showing me. And really it's going to be what we are aligning ourselves with right now. And there's a serious sense of urgency happening. So that's point number one. Point number 2, what they're showing me, not only the piano scale of like having these dimensions and these different notes as we evolve, but yes, we are possibly going to be able to shift into the 5th dimension. And what's going on like with the sun and the solar waves and like how they're hitting the planet has everything to do with it's shifting the frequency of the planets. The sun is putting out this energy because it's shifting its own frequency. The other planets are following suit. And they reminded me about when NASA crashed like a lunar module into the moon, like on purpose. It rang like a bell. And they were like, well, maybe the moon is hollow because it rang like a bell. And like, that's what they're saying. Like the planets are like bells. Like, yes, they're conscious beings and in their existence, but the Schumann resonance is literally like the frequency. So as we continue to evolve, the earth is evolving, the sun is like assisting all of this, and it's just like it's the solar system is like a fucking clock, like the inner workings of a clock. And as these planetary alignments take place, it's like locking into place and activating this frequency. And the sun is literally like, you know, not just the earth is heating up, like the poles on Mars are melting, like the planets are changing because they're all changing their frequency because we're all getting ready to move up. And I just want to stick this in real quick here. I'm going to edit this in because when I was talking about the planets being like bells, I'm actually saying that when the sun is putting out its flares and its power and it's evolving in its own consciousness, it's bringing the planets with it because it's affecting them. But the flares that hit, the radiation that comes through and all the protons like actually causes the planet to vibrate like a bell. And so as it vibrates faster and faster, higher and higher, that's how we travel to another dimension, how we go to a higher dimension. The bottom line, though, the most important message that they continue to convey to me is that we do have to make a choice, and we're running out of time. And that, you know, what part of the web of weird that you're choosing to exist in is going to determine how you play this shit out for a really long time, like many lifetimes. They keep continuously saying to me that we don't have a way of knowing what comes next because we're getting ready to like break out of this infinite existence and move into an eternal existence of like ever changing, ever evolving. And we haven't done this before. We haven't experienced this before. So we can't predict what is going to happen. So as we shift into a different reality, the rules are going to be very different, especially the rules of manifestation. So they keep giving me the example of how we say, like, we wish we could just wave a magic wand and have what we wanted. And so if we want to be in a reality where that is a possibility, we have to be in a certain level of consciousness. Otherwise, we are going to just harm people and ourselves. You know, like if you want to think about wanting to say, hey, I want $1 million in my hands, and it appears, like, with that comes a huge responsibility, because if you have somebody cut you off in traffic and piss you off, like you may be manifesting something horrible for them and for yourself. So, this idea of, ascending to a one dimension and then kind of like regressing to a lower dimension. It's not about, good and bad, going to heaven, hell. It's not about judgment. It's just about like, what is your choice? Like, what is your soul's choice? And maybe there are people who, obviously there are people who want to live out fucking, hardcore earth, 3000 fucking with Skynet and the World Economic Forum. Like, have at it. It's a free universe. You can do whatever you want. Me, on the other hand, I'm not interested in that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to align myself more with the reality that I want. And not only will that affect this reality for me now, and that I will achieve the goals I want to, and I will, you know, have joy. Like, when's the last time you experienced joy? I don't think I ever experienced joy in my whole fucking life until just a few years ago, when I started working with my teacher and I started really getting serious about the healing path. But, you know, it's not going to fall out of the fucking sky and land on you. You have to search for joy. And if you've been through trauma in your life, you have to fucking search. Like, if you're not going to be a warrior for your own fucking heart and your own fucking joy and dreams, then, like, why are you even here? Seriously. But they gave me the example of, like, holding a metal wire and, like, putting tension on each side, and then there being, like, a flame in the middle. So depending, like, you're pulling on this wire, this flame is going, and that eventually it's going to keep stretching, and then it's going to break. And so kind of like what side you are on in your level of consciousness, and like who you're associating with, what your life looks like, what your belief systems and practices are, you're going to be caught up in that, good or bad. So, you know, I'm just really encouraging people to really take a good look, like, you know, in the mirror, like I have been doing myself. And, you know, this is not easy information for me, because, you know, they're really encouraging and reminding me that I need to fine tune my spiritual practices. I need to clean up my act a little bit more in regards to like substance use. And this isn't easy, but, you know, like, if you don't want to be stuck with the chaos and worse that you see going on in the world, like, you have to align yourself with yourself. And then that is going to align you with people who are sovereign, people who, you know, are interested in healing, who are interested in moving to the next level and not living in hell for the rest of fucking eternity. So I hope that message is helpful, and thank you for listening. And maybe I'll get the courage to upload this. We'll see.